The Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as the lone human vessel appeared at the edge of their space. The massive chamber, normally a picture of orderly debate, now buzzed with concerned whispers and outright protests. High Counselor Vexra, their crystalline form refracting light across the chamber, called for order. A single ship. Ambassador Kittle clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among the Arctians. The humans must be either foolish or mad to approach the heart of galactic civilization with just one vessel. The ship in question hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, its obsidian hull seeming to drink in the light of nearby suns. Named Helios, it dwarfed the standard diplomatic vessels, but carried no visible weapons. The Council's scanners struggled to penetrate its hull, returning confused readings that made little sense to their most experienced technicians. Senior Observer Lyra, one of the few who had studied human history extensively, stood before the Council. Her luminescent skin pulsed with cautionary patterns. We would be wise not to underestimate them. Humanity has consistently defied our predictions during their development. Their technological progress in the last century alone. Progress achieved in isolation, interrupted Ambassador Kittal. They haven't faced the realities of interstellar politics or warfare. They don't understand the dangers that lurk between the stars. A junior observer burst into the chamber, their bioluminescent markings flashing urgent patterns. High Counselor, we're detecting multiple unauthorized ships dropping out of hyperspace. The Crimson Collective is here. The chamber fell silent. The Crimson Collective, a group of technological supremacists who believed in ruling through superior firepower, had been a thorn in the Council's side for decades. Their timing couldn't have been worse. 20 warships materialized around the human vessel, their blood-red hulls bristling with weapons. The Council's defensive fleet was hours away, leaving only a token force of patrol ships to protect both their station and humanity's first contact vessel. Attention Council and human vessel, a harsh voice broadcasted across all frequencies. You will witness the price of technological inferiority. Let this be a lesson to all who think they can join the galactic community without proper strength. Before anyone could react, the collective opened fire. Their energy weapons carved burning lines through space toward the seemingly defenseless Helios. High Counselor Vexra rose to order an evacuation, but Lyra's voice cut through the panic. Watch, she said simply, her eyes fixed on the display. The attacks never reached their target. Instead, the space around Helios rippled like disturbed water. The energy weapons seemed to bend around the ship, their paths twisting impossibly before dissipating harmlessly. Then, Helios began to change. What had appeared to be solid hull plating flowed like liquid mercury. The ship's surface rippled with patterns of light that defied description. Sections of the vessel separated smoothly, revealing spaces between that glowed with contained stars. Impossible, Kittal whispered. No civilization has mastered matter-state manipulation at that scale. The human ship had become 5, then 12, then 30 separate vessels, each moving with perfect coordination. Yet they remained connected by threads of light that seemed to ignore the normal rules of spacetime. When the collective fired again, their weapons passed through empty space where human ships had been a fraction of a second before. A calm voice transmitted across all frequencies. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Helios. We came seeking peaceful first contact, but we are prepared to defend ourselves and the Council if necessary. Crimson Collective, power down your weapons and engines. This is your only warning. The collective responded with another barrage. This time, several human vessels merged together, forming a geometric pattern that generated a field of distorted space. The collective's weapons fire entered the field and simply stopped existing. What followed wasn't so much a battle as a demonstration. The separated sections of Helios moved in perfect synchronization, each anticipating the other's actions without apparent communication. Some created spatial distortions that trapped collective ships in bubbles of altered time. Others projected fields that simply shut down enemy weapons and engines without damaging the vessels themselves. Within minutes, the entire collective fleet hung powerless in space, their crews alive but thoroughly defeated. Not a single life had been lost. As the council chamber sat in stunned silence, Captain Chen's voice returned. To the Galactic Council, we apologize for any alarm our defensive measures may have caused. The Helios was designed to showcase humanity's commitment to both peace and protection. We believe true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the power to defend life while neutralizing threats. The ship's sections began to flow back together, merging seamlessly into their original form. But now everyone who watched understood. They weren't seeing a single vessel, but rather a manifestation of humanity's fundamentally different approach to space travel and conflict. They sent one ship, Lyra said softly, her skin glowing with patterns of wonder, because one was all they needed. The question isn't why humans approached us with a single vessel, but rather, what else might they be capable of that we haven't yet imagined? High Counselor Vexor's crystalline form sparkled with new frequencies as they processed the implications. Perhaps, they said carefully, we should reconsider who exactly is joining whose community. The days following the Crimson Collective incident transformed the Galactic Council's understanding of human technology. As Captain Chen led a delegation through Helios's chambers, even the most skeptical council representatives found their assumptions challenged. Senior Observer Lyra walked beside Dr. Maya Patel, Helios's chief scientist, watching in fascination as the ship's corridors shifted and reformed around them. Your vessel doesn't simply split apart, she observed. It's as if each section remains connected even when separated. Dr. Patel smiled, her dark eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. We call it quantum state architecture. Every part of Helios exists in multiple states simultaneously, connected through quantum entanglement at a macro scale. Distance becomes largely irrelevant. They entered what appeared to be a simple observation deck. With a gesture from Dr. Patel, the walls became transparent, revealing the vast expanse of space. But this was no mere window. The view shifted perspectives impossible from their current position, showing simultaneous views from every separated section of the ship. Conventional ships are limited by their physical structure, Dr. Patel continued. They can only be in one place, one configuration at a time. We decided to try something different. Why build bigger ships when you could build smarter ones? Ambassador Catal, who had insisted on joining the tour, clicked his mandibles skeptically. Yet this technology must require enormous energy. The power demands alone are minimal, Dr. Patel interrupted gently. Because we're not fighting against the universe's laws. We're working with them. Each section of Helios generates its own quantum field, drawing energy from the fabric of space-time itself. The more sections work together, the more efficient the system becomes. As if to demonstrate, a section of wall flowed like mercury, forming a doorway into a vast chamber that shouldn't have fit within the ship's dimensions. Inside, representatives saw what looked like a garden, but one that defied conventional physics. Plants grew in impossible patterns, their growth visibly accelerated in some areas while nearly frozen in others. Our food production systems, Dr. Patel explained, but also part of our quantum field generation. Life itself participates in maintaining the ship's quantum state. Everything aboard Helios is interconnected, from the largest system to the smallest plant. The tour continued through sections that could become independent research stations, medical facilities, or defensive units. Each demonstration further illustrated how humanity had taken a fundamentally different path in their technological development. But why? Kittel finally asked. Why develop technology so different from conventional approaches? Captain Chen, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Because we learned from our own history. Every time humanity faced a challenge, our greatest advances came not from building bigger weapons or stronger walls, but from changing how we thought about the problem itself. The captain gestured, and the space around them transformed into a stellar cartography room, with galaxy maps flowing through the air like water. We spent centuries watching your civilizations, learning from your achievements and your conflicts. We saw how the drive for bigger ships, more powerful weapons, and stronger defenses led to an arms race without end. Instead, she continued, we asked different questions. What if a ship could be everywhere it needed to be? What if defense and offense weren't opposing forces but different expressions of the same principle? What if space itself could be our ally rather than our obstacle? A distant alarm sounded, and one of Helios's crew appeared through a quantum portal. Captain, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the collective vessels in custody. Their containment fields are showing signs of quantum resonance. The implications hit Lyra immediately. They're trying to duplicate your technology. No, Dr. Paddle said, her expression grave. They're trying to weaponize it. Without understanding the underlying principles, they're creating dangerous quantum instabilities. The energy readings from the collective ships began to spike erratically. Traditional sensors showed cascading system failures that threatened to tear the vessels apart at the quantum level. The Council's containment protocols would be useless against such an event. Captain Chen's response was immediate. Helios, initiate quantum harmony protocol. All sections prepare for synchronized resonance. The ship's sections, both combined and separated, began to pulse with patterns of light that rippled through space itself. The quantum instabilities in the collective ships were met with counterbalancing fields that gradually brought the dangerous resonances under control. You see, Dr. Paddle said softly to their stunned observers, this technology cannot be stolen or copied. It requires understanding that true power comes not from domination, but from harmony. Each section of Helios could operate independently, but they choose to work together because unity creates possibilities that separation cannot achieve. As the crisis subsided, Lyra watched the smooth coordination between Helios's systems and crew with new appreciation. Humanity hadn't just built an advanced ship. They'd created a new way of thinking about space, technology, and cooperation itself. The implications would reshape the galaxy's future in ways none of them could fully predict. And this, she realized, was only the beginning of what humanity had to share. The Galactic Archives, a vast repository of technological and cultural knowledge, had never seen such activity. 3 weeks after Helios' arrival, representatives from hundreds of species crowded its halls, all seeking to understand the implications of humanity's quantum state technology. But it was in a quiet, sealed chamber that the most significant discussion took place. High Counselor Vexor's crystalline form pulsed with concern as they reviewed the latest reports. Before them stood Captain Chen, Dr. Patel, and a holographic representation of the Helios' quantum network, its intricate patterns flowing like a living thing. You understand what you're proposing? Vexor asked. Sharing even basic principles of your technology could destabilize millennia of established power structures. That's precisely why we're sharing it, Captain Chen replied. But not in the way you might expect. Dr. Paddle gestured, and the hologram expanded to show a galaxy-wide network of quantum connections. We're not here to give you our technology. We're here to show you how to develop your own version of it, suited to your species and culture. In the corners of the chamber, Senior Observer Lyra noted how the quantum field sensors pulsed with readings that shouldn't have been possible. The very space around them seemed to resonate with potential. Each species, Dr. Patel continued, has unique insights, unique ways of perceiving reality. The Arxians' understanding of collective consciousness, the Meridians' mastery of light-based computing, even the crystalline nature of your own people, High Counselor, all hold pieces of a larger puzzle. A subtle vibration ran through the chamber as a section of Helios phased partially into their space, its walls becoming transparent to reveal a vast research complex within. Inside, teams of scientists from various species worked alongside human researchers, each bringing their own perspective to understanding the quantum nature of reality. We discovered something during our development, Captain Chen explained. The universe isn't just stranger than we imagined. It's stranger than we can imagine alone. But together. She paused as the hologram showed new patterns forming, combinations of different species technologies creating possibilities none had conceived independently. The discussion was interrupted by an urgent communication. Ambassador Catal's image appeared, his mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. High Counselor, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the galactic core. The patterns, they're unlike anything in our records. The chamber's displays shifted to show a phenomenon that defied conventional physics. Vast regions of space were being warped, twisted into configurations that shouldn't have been stable. At its center, something was emerging. The Old Ones, Vexra whispered, their crystalline form dimming with ancient fear. The legend spoke of their return, but we never thought. Captain Chen's expression remained calm as she studied the readings. You've encountered them before. Not in living memory, Lyra answered, her bioluminescence pulsing with anxiety. But our oldest records speak of beings who viewed younger species as resources to be harvested. They were said to use technology that could reshape reality itself. Similar to our quantum state technology, Dr. Patil observed, but twisted, forced rather than harmonized with. The phenomenon continued to grow, and with it came a transmission that resonated through space itself, bypassing conventional communication systems. The message was simple but terrifying. Your experiment in independence ends. Order will be restored. Instead of panic, Captain Chen shared a meaningful look with Dr. Patil. This, she said quietly, is exactly why we designed Helios the way we did. Not just as a ship, but as a proof of concept. The human captain turned to address the chamber. You've seen how our technology works with the natural quantum state of the universe rather than forcing it. Now imagine that principle applied on a galactic scale, with every species contributing their unique understanding. The hologram shifted again, showing how the various quantum technologies being developed by different species could theoretically interconnect. The Old Ones believe they can force reality to submit to their will. We believe in working in harmony with it, and with each other. As if in response to her words, the quantum field sensors began detecting new signatures. The research teams within Helios, inspired by the immediate threat, had begun making breakthroughs. Different species technologies were starting to resonate together in ways that created something entirely new. This was always humanity's real mission, Dr. Patil revealed. Not to give you our technology, but to show you that cooperation between species creates possibilities that no amount of forced control can match. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just brought a revolutionary ship to the galaxy. They'd brought a revolution in thinking itself. As the threat of the Old Ones loomed, this new understanding would be tested in ways none of them could have predicted. The question was no longer whether humanity's approach to technology would change the galaxy, but whether that change would come in time to face a force that believed in domination rather than harmony. The Old Ones' arrival transformed the galaxy's center into a maelstrom of warped space-time. Their vast construct, a geometric nightmare that hurt the eyes to look upon, continued to emerge from the disrupted fabric of reality. Traditional sensors failed, and even quantum communications began to distort under their influence. Within Helios's main research hub, now expanded into a space that shouldn't have been possible within normal dimensions, representatives from 24 species worked with desperate intensity. Dr. Patil moved between groups, her calm presence helping bridge gaps between radically different approaches to science. The Meridian's light-based computing is achieving quantum coherence with Arxian collective consciousness technology, she reported to Captain Chen. But we're still missing something crucial. The captain studied the central display, where the Old Ones' influence spread like cracks in reality itself. Already, several outlying systems had gone silent. Not destroyed. Worse, they had been reordered, their very nature altered to serve the Old Ones' vision of perfect stability. Show me the latest data from the affected systems, Chen requested. The display shifted, revealing worlds transformed. Cities had been reorganized into perfectly geometric patterns. Living beings moved with mechanical precision, all individuality erased in favor of absolute efficiency. Senior observer Lyra entered through a quantum portal, her bioluminescence dimmed with exhaustion. 3 more systems have gone silent. The old ones are sending a message to each world before they transform it. Chaos will be ordered. Difference will be unified. All will serve the pattern. They're not destroying, Catal observed, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. They're imposing what they consider perfect order. Which gives us an advantage, Captain Chen said quietly. They could simply obliterate us, but they want to convert us. That means they have to maintain some connection with normal space-time, something we can potentially work with. Dr. Patel's eyes suddenly widened. That's it. We've been trying to fight their influence directly. But what if? She rushed to a quantum terminal, her fingers flying over holographic controls. Every species here has been approaching this from their own perspective, their own understanding of reality. But look what happens when we... The display changed, showing how the old one's power flowed through space. But now, overlaid on it, was a pattern formed by combining the quantum signatures of different species' technologies. Where they intersected, strange harmonies emerged. They're forcing order onto reality, Dr. Patel explained excitedly. But reality itself is both order and chaos, pattern and possibility. By working together, using each species' unique resonance with the quantum field, we create a harmony they can't override. Lyra finished, her skin pulsing with renewed hope. Because it's not imposed, it emerges naturally from our differences. The chamber erupted into activity as the implications became clear. The Meridian's light-based systems synchronized with Arxian collective computing. Vexor's crystalline people channeled quantum energies through structures that resonated with multiple layers of reality. Each species contributed something unique, creating a whole greater than its parts. But time was running out. The Old One's influence had reached the mid-rim systems, and their message changed. Your resistance is disorder. You will be corrected. Captain Chen made a decision. Helios will coordinate the defense. All ships with quantum resonance capability link with our network. Every species that's developed their own version of the technology synchronize with your nearest hub. The result was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Hundreds of ships, each using technology developed from humanity's example, but adapted to their own nature, began to move in concert. They didn't fight as individuals, but as expressions of a greater harmony. The Old Ones struck first. Reality itself seemed to shudder as they tried to impose their pattern on defended systems. But where their influence met the combined resonance of multiple species working in harmony, something unexpected happened. The imposed order couldn't take hold. The natural chaos and order of reality, expressed through the cooperative technology of dozens of species, created a resistance that couldn't be overridden. It wasn't perfect uniformity, but perfect diversity that proved strongest. Their power is incredible, Catal observed as another wave of distortion washed over them. But it's fundamentally lonely. They try to make everything the same, while we become stronger through our differences. Chen finished. That's humanity's real legacy to the galaxy. Not the technology itself, but the understanding that true unity doesn't mean erasing what makes us unique. As if to demonstrate this, Helios began to change again. But this time, as its sections separated and reformed, they merged not just with each other, but with the quantum fields generated by other species' vessels. The ship became a conductor in a galaxy-wide symphony of cooperation. The Old One's message boomed through space once more. This disorder cannot persist. But now, for the first time, their absolute certainty carried a note of confusion. They had encountered something their perfect order couldn't account for: the strength of genuine diversity working in harmony. The galaxy's center had become a battlefield unlike any in history. Not a battle of weapons and destruction, but one of competing philosophies made manifest through technology. The Old One's perfect geometric patterns spread through space like crystalline fractals, while the combined quantum resonance of the allied species flowed like a living river of light. Within Helios's quantum-expanded command center, Representatives from every participating species watched as their combined efforts created something entirely new. The ship itself had evolved beyond its original design, incorporating quantum harmonics from dozens of different civilizations. "Their pattern is weakening," Dr. Patil announced, studying readings that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "The old ones can't maintain absolute control over such a large area, not while we're introducing so many variables." Captain Chen nodded, watching as sections of Helios synchronized with ships of completely different designs and origins. "They're starting to understand. Perfect order isn't the universe's natural state. It's the interaction between order and chaos that creates life, progress, meaning." The Old One's response came as a massive surge of power that threatened to rewrite reality itself. Space began to crystallize around their geometric construct, perfect patterns attempting to lock everything into unchanging stasis. But where this rigidity met the flowing quantum fields of the allied species, something remarkable happened. "Look." Lyra's bioluminescence pulsed with excitement. "The transformed systems, they're beginning to resonate with us." On the quantum displays, worlds that had been forced into perfect order started to show signs of chaos returning. The Old One's influence had made everything identical, but that very uniformity made their control vulnerable to the harmony of diverse quantum fields working together. Of course, Kittel clicked his mandibles in revelation. They made everything the same, but that means one frequency can affect everything, Dr. Patel finished. They created perfect order, but perfect order is perfectly fragile. Our chaos, our differences, they make us stronger, more adaptable. The Old One's message boomed through space again, but now it carried undertones of uncertainty. "This disruption, it creates patterns we cannot predict. Your disorder spreads through our order." Captain Chen stepped forward, addressing the ancient entities directly. "Because true order isn't the absence of chaos, it's finding harmony between the two. Every species here has their own unique resonance with reality, their own way of existing. Together, we create something greater than any forced uniformity." As if to demonstrate this truth, the quantum fields generated by the allied species began to affect the Old One's construct itself, where their rigid geometry met the flowing fields of combined quantum resonance. New patterns emerged, not imposed, but naturally forming from the interaction between order and chaos. "They're trying to adapt," Lyra observed, watching the Old One's attempts to modify their perfect patterns. "But they can't match our flexibility because they're trying to control everything from a single perspective." The realization spread through the Old One's consciousness like cracks in their crystalline certainty. Their message changed. This harmony, it defies prediction. It creates possibilities we had not conceived. Humanity's gift to the galaxy had never been just about technology. Through Helios, they had shown that true advancement comes not from domination, but from cooperation, not from enforced unity, but from celebrating diversity. As the Old One's influence began to recede, their perfect patterns dissolving back into the quantum foam of reality, the allied species discovered they had created something that would change the galaxy forever. The quantum network they had built, born from the combination of their different approaches to reality, had become self-sustaining. Each species contributed their unique perspective, their particular resonance with the universe, creating a harmony that couldn't be broken because it was constantly adapting, constantly growing. "What happens now?" Call asked as the last traces of the Old One's construct faded from normal space. Captain Chen smiled, watching as Helios's sections flowed into new configurations, incorporating elements of quantum technology from a dozen different species. "Now we build something new. Not a single ship or a single civilization imposing its will on the galaxy, but a true community where every unique voice adds to the symphony." The Old One's final message echoed through the quantum network. "We sought to perfect the galaxy through uniformity. You have shown us a different kind of perfection, one we must contemplate." As the crisis passed, the gathered species began to understand the full implications of what they had achieved. Humanity's arrival with a single, unique ship had catalyzed a transformation that rippled through the galaxy. They had proven that the greatest strength comes not from erasing differences, but from finding ways to make those differences work in harmony. Helios remained at the heart of the Galactic Council, no longer just a ship but a symbol of a new way forward. Its quantum state technology had evolved into something far greater, a demonstration that the universe's true nature lay not in perfect order or perfect chaos, but in the endless dance between the two. And in the vast spaces between the stars, countless civilizations began to explore their own unique paths to quantum harmony, each contributing their voice to a galaxy that had learned to grow stronger through diversity rather than uniformity.